All right, Mr. Jacob, it's amazing to have you here. I appreciate you for taking the time. We wanted to talk about your experience working with me quickly and everything that happened over the last few weeks, and also your takeaways, keeping it really value-based. And I just want you to genuinely answer in any sort of way and say things how you genuinely feel about them. Is that cool?
Of course.
Easy, bro. So we started working together, I would say about 6, 7, 8 weeks ago, round about that. And when we started working together, how long have you been running your business before that, before we started working together?
I would say actively and focusing on the business for around a year or so. Um, have been trying different things back and forth and different courses and stuff, but took it very seriously for about a year.
So, if I understand correctly, you took it seriously for a year before we started working together. How many clients did you sign in that entire year?
I signed two in total. One with just short form content, and then which then churned, and then one with just social media management. And that's it.
How much money did you make per client with those two?
The first one was very low. The social media one was very low. It's just something I did on the side of my job, so it's like in maybe $500 on the first one, and then the other one was 1.5k.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So you signed those two clients in that year. I remember when we started working together, you told me that you were working with a lot of people before as well,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
How many people did you work with before we started working together?
Working with, I think it was, we're also counting mentorships and no courses. Then six.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in 6 courses or coachings or mentorships before. And then I remember when we were on our call where you applied to work with me, we were
Mhm.
talking about, working together. And I know that you were a bit uncertain for the simple reason that, as you just said, you literally worked with 6 people before that, and it didn't
Mhm.
really make much of a change. Now, yesterday, funny enough, you closed a deal. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Oh, I would love to. Of
Amazing.
course. Yeah. So by using the strategies that you outlined for me and keeping me on track on what to focus on, and then me putting in the work resulted in closing a lovely client with a lovely case for 6k euros, not dollars, paid in full, and a 10% revenue share of the course that we're going to build out for her in a 4 month period,
Nice. That's
which I'm
amazing.
very proud to say.
I'm proud of you for signing the deal, bro. I mean, at the end of the day, you've tried business for a year. You've signed 2 clients, one very low ticket, one lower or mid ticket, you could say. You also had a problem with churn. And now we started working together. We started implementing the right strategies. You closed that deal yesterday for 6K paid in full, which is always nice to hear. And no, it's I'm very proud of you for that. What would you say, Jacob, over those last weeks, what would you say was your biggest takeaway that you've had?
I've been thinking about this a lot actually, and I don't think I have one, I have a couple actually. The first thing and the main thing is actually the it's also something that we talked a lot about. It's like the mindset can kind of get a little bit woo woo. It's like kind of doing it up here, but the way that you made it very tangible and very digestible in a applicable way, in a way that I actually saw, actually helped out a lot. So it's basically helping me. The biggest takeaway on the mindset things is becoming the type of person that has these different things. It's actually focusing more on the inputs, but in like a more holistic whole uh, view of the world. Essentially, I think that's the biggest takeaway I had, and that never believing in anything that doesn't help you. It's very amazing and a great filter to have on so many levels. Like it's insane. And I think that's the biggest takeaways, and of course all these strategies that we also went over. I mean, and all the one-on-one calls is also very valuable. I think that's probably the main takeaway, because that's something that I can apply to not only my own life but also people around me, people I love, I care about. They also can like get something out of that as well. I think that's the biggest two takeaways that I have.
Gotcha. Okay, so the first one is mainly that the mindset part is more important than people think it is, and making it tangible helped you a lot.
Yeah,
That was the first one. And what was the second one again?
just never believing in anything that doesn't help you.
Gotcha. It's a very important belief to have, and it also changed a lot for me, I would say. You closed that 6K deal, right? Was it a one call close?
It was a one call close, but had with some technical difficulties. It was actually technically a 3-part close, because it was 2 Zoom calls and then a phone call. But yeah, it was a one call close.
But it was in one session, right?
Yes.
How did that come to play? So obviously there's not really much proof or results that you could show for so far up until now. And you closed her in one session on a paid in full upfront. And you said, how did you give your objections, or how did that go?
No objections, no nothing. It was, so the whole call was basically just it was kind of like a deep dive conversation into her situation, her past, and it was just a very nice and calm conversation. And then we just simply took things into the more practical side of everything, because I had sent her some value up front before the call. Basically got her pre-sold before the call, and so there was no objections, no nothing. She was really curious. She was the one asking me about what I do, and like wanted to know more about the specific video and how everything would work, and the specific formats, and then the pricing. But no objections, no nothing. It was
Amazing.
very clean, crisp, close.
Would you say you expected it to be that easy?
I was confident, yeah, but again, you never know.
That's amazing. Why do you feel like you now closed that deal whilst many other people seem to never close even a client at all? I know for a fact in this industry, 99% of people never even close a client, even on $100. Why did you just close that deal? Like, what's the difference between you and them, would you say?
It's a great question. Some of the biggest differences is that I'm very stubborn, and I'm very determined on getting where I want and what I want, essentially. So keeping at it, and it sounds so cheesy, but like never giving in to like comfort, and never giving up, most so to speak. So like being determined and staying on the path is something that I think a lot of people don't do. I know a lot of people around me that also do online business. I have one close friend who's also he's super successful as well, but is also always just like, if you quit, then for sure you're not gonna get anywhere. But if you don't quit, I think that's probably the biggest thing. But also having the emotional awareness and emotional EQ is what separates me a lot, because I'm very try to portray myself as well as a very authentic person, and connect with every single person that I want to do business with as well. I think that's also a very key strength in the sales department as well. I think that's probably the biggest differences.
But where do you think that comes from? Because, I mean, you just said that for a year you were trying to build the business. You didn't necessarily see much success. You paid all this money for different people to help you. Nothing really ever made a big difference up until now.
Yeah.
Why do you feel like that comes from, that mindset of, again, bit cringe, but never really giving in?
I think it comes from a lot of places. Don't have to go super deep and super backgroundy, but like my upbringing on the emotional side of things was very tough. It's like when I turned 18, I've been to, I think it's 12 funerals of people that were close to me, and it's like being very emotionally aware, and grew up very fast in that type of way. And then also pairing that with working out, which is a really direct correlation with putting the reps in every single day and keeping at it and reiterating something when it doesn't work. When you get an injury, you reiterate stuff, try something else, find something that works, and you keep going.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like it's a very interesting process that you went through because I'm sure that most people would have stopped like half a year ago
Yeah,
in your situation.
100%, bro.
But you made it work. Do you feel like taking risks played a big role in what you've been able to achieve so far?
Absolutely, man. By not taking the risks, but I don't think I would have gotten anywhere, honestly. It's a key part of this because it's also something that you and I, Elias, talked a lot about. It's taking the risk and then doing something that's super uncomfortable that makes you move, makes you go, and makes you move at a pace that you didn't think you would be able to. It's like having, I call it, I don't know if I can swear on this thing, but it's like having a fire under your butt, having a fire under your ass, and that pushes you, and you need that push. So taking risk
Oh,
is important.
you're talking about like an intrinsic drive because you have no other option than to make it work?
Yeah, also that, for sure. For sure.
100%. Okay. Would you say that there are any other takeaways, anything else that you want to share? Anything into that there?
I think maybe just adding on top of taking the risks things, because as we talked about before, it's like I was hesitant to start, yeah, but I wasn't hesitant in starting with you. I was hesitant in the terms of spending my last money on my bank account and my savings and putting that to work and having to make it work. But like I think the biggest takeaway also, that's something that was really a paradigm shift when when I decided on the call that I paid you as well. It's like listening to your intuition. People always talk about listening to your gut while also taking risk. Of course, it has to be calculated. You have to see the upside. I, I mean, it has to make sense. But also listening to your something that I want to tell a lot of people that if they're considering jumping into anything new, jumping into anything with you, hopefully, or anything else, it's just listening to your gut and but making sure that your intuition, your gut feeling is calm and listening to that. Not what your head is saying, but what your intuition is saying. And I think that's really important key lesson. And also that I think a lot of people could benefit from.
Makes sense, bro. I mean, that's amazing. I'm sure we're gonna do a lot of amazing things from here, and I'm very excited for the next 6 to 12 months for you and your business because, as we spoke about multiple times before, the first client is by far the hardest one, and you now got over that
Yeah.
actual high-paying client.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud of you for that, and yeah, I mean, the next goal in my head is 20K. I don't know what the next goal is for you, but
100%. Yeah, for sure.
Jacob, what would you say if someone was thinking about potentially working with me and they're on the edge of doing it, but they're not quite sure? They maybe have uncertainty, they are fearful of what could happen. What would you say to them?
I want to sound as little cliche as possible. It's like just take the leap of faith, man. Because if you don't do anything, I always think of things in the reverse. I put it on its head always. What do I get out of this if I don't do anything? I was like, well, nothing. I'm gonna stay in the exact same situation. I'm definitely not gonna make more money because what I'm doing right now doesn't work, and you don't know what you don't know. So just take the leap of faith and commit 100%.
I'll leave it at that. I have nothing to add.
No, 100%.
I appreciate you for taking the time, bro, and coming on. And
Of course, bro.
yeah, we'll probably do a second interview in a couple of months.
100%, bro.